We do not. Thank you.
Jonathan Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very pleased and privileged to stand in support of the Prime Minister's statement and his motion that we continue to have confidence in this government. New Zealanders are a lot smarter, sir, than what the Labour and Green parties think. That's quite obvious. Sir, the facts are of what this government has achieved in the last 5 years quite outstanding. The current account deficit was almost 9% of GDP when we took office. Now it's 4.3%. Net external debt had blown out to 84% of GDP. Net external debt is dropped down to 71. Inflation was running at 5.1%. Inflation now is only 1.6. This is what New Zealanders need to hear. Mortgage interest rates averaged 10.9%. Mortgage interest rates now average 5.9%. And that makes a big difference to households out there. Food prices had gone up 11% in Labour's last year. Food prices have gone up only 1.5% in this last year. Sir, these give the comparisons between the previous government that really didn't achieve anything for New Zealanders and what this government has achieved through the most difficult financial time that we have experienced in the last 70 years. And by the way, the previous government, in 5 years, their spending went up by 50%. And that, sir, is an irresponsible use of the taxpayers' money, making government so big that New Zealanders are always encumbered with that incredible cost of running this nation. So during this series of speeches on the Prime Minister's statement, we have heard some wide-ranging opinions and points of view. Following the Prime Minister's excellent speech, I'd have to say yesterday when the Attorney-General got up to speak, what a superb speech that was, outlining in plain English the simple conclusion why the National-led government offers the best and the brightest future for New Zealanders. Perhaps the most ludicrous statement made in this Parliament this year was by the Leader of the Opposition in reply to the Prime Minister's statement when he said, quote, "The Labour-led government is waiting to take New Zealand forward." Well, we know what an utter statement of arrogance that is. What an overstretch, what an overreach, what an overstatement that is. And obviously we need to pop his bubble because as you may see, sir, there isn't a Labour-led government, and thank goodness for that. And there's not likely to be one soon. I'm not sure what planet he is on, but it is not Earth. It is not Earth, this alternate universe that the Leader of the Opposition is trying to create by the rhetoric and by rolling out statements such as that, by saying things, he is assuming that New Zealanders, if they hear it enough, will believe it. And sir, I think that is an attitude of arrogance. It is not assuming or believing that New Zealanders are smart and know, as I read out those facts, that what we need to be debating is the real differences between governments, not trying to put into people's minds suggestions. It's a world of smoke and mirrors, sleight of hand, and I think, sir, we saw another example of that with the baby bonus bungle. One can see that it was either just plain trickiness or perhaps it was incompetence. Or maybe it was both. In fact, let me just read out the comments that came out from the Leader of the Opposition back in Taranaki in October, mid-October last year. What he said, Mr. Mallard, was that people were leaving Taranaki. That's what he said the day that New Zealand Statistics rolled out all the figures about what's happening around the country. And he said over that same period of 5 years, there were 1,000 more people out of work in the region, with the real median weekly incomes for Taranaki dropping $24 a week. Well, even the Taranaki Daily News came out the next day and refuted his comments. And that's amazing, isn't it? And Stephen Joyce and myself, we came out and we rubbished his claims. We said he was making stuff up. And I think New Zealanders out there, we need to be aware that there is the truth and then there are stories. There are facts and there are fallacies. And so often we've seen things being made up, stuff being made up. We see, sir, that this is what, in fact, let me just read out what the Taranaki Daily News wrote. They said, the census figures showed that the new Labor boss was wrong. Statistics released yesterday showed the region's population had actually increased. And I was quoted as saying that the figures contradicted Mr Cunliffe's claims. Since the 2006 income survey, real after-tax weekly incomes in Taranaki had increased by $85. He said they went down by 24. The real information is they went up by 85. Now, listen, what he is saying out there, he's trying to create this impression that under a national-led government things were going backwards. And if people will hear it enough, they'll believe it. But the facts are different. And people in New Zealand are smart enough to get the facts on the issue. So I'm of the opinion that Labor's latest leader makes stuff up, whether it's his distorted view of Taranaki's economy or whether it's the baby bonus bungle that tries to make his party look progressive and generous. It's either trickery or it's incompetence. It's either trickery or it's incompetence. I wrote it. And so, no, not at all. It's either trickery or it's incompetence. And guess what? When New Zealand's got talent, you only need to get one cross and you're out, and Mr Cunliffe has already got two. So let me talk about an upfront, competent government. This John Key-led government, which has worked hard, continues to work hard on things that matter to New Zealanders, to everyday people. We are firmly focused in this election year to carry on the work program that we started, not big, huge, lightly scrambled there, sugar rush for the voters, but some real economic policies that are going to continue to make a difference for New Zealanders, undergird our aspirations, give us ability to do what we want to do, enable us to get jobs that are created substantially and are involved in export and in the real economies rather than just created. Mr Speaker, New Zealand streets are safer, we know that. We are seeing higher achievement in our schools. Interest rates have stayed lower for longer. We're seeing more people come off long-term welfare and get into work. More patients are getting the treatment they need and sooner. Sir, we are seeing patients getting elective surgery faster with procedures up 34% in 5 years. That's the facts. Deliveries increased from 118,000 in 2008 when we came into 158,000 in patients treated in this last financial year. Sir, here in New Zealand, providing better public services with constrained funding has been a huge challenge. Despite the toughest of our times, our government has invested on average an extra $500 million a year into public health service. That's without counting capital. If you were to look overseas into the other hemisphere, in September 2012, the Irish Health Ministry announced a $200 million cost reduction package in an attempt to reduce their deficit, which was expected to reach $800 million by the end of the year. They plan to make significant cuts to services and staff numbers. That's what's happening on the other side of the world. And we who here in this small nation, faced with incredible financial constraints, we increased our health spend by $500 million a year. And you've got to say, New Zealanders look at that. Of course we can do better. Of course there are more electives surgeries that are needed, but New Zealanders can see a government that has worked hard to deliver for them. We have spent more money on the front line than the back office, and that's been an important thing to do. We went to the polls in 2008 with that promise, sir, and I believe that we have achieved it. Sir, I am as I said, very proud and privileged to stand in support of the Prime Minister's statement. I believe the best Prime Minister this nation has seen for many a year, and I believe that New Zealanders will reflect that in 2014 when we come to the poll. Thank you, sir.
I understand this is a split call.